What's going on, everybody? It's Justin Gazaba, and this is Living and Moving to Seattle, Washington. This is the channel that gives you all the nitty-gritty details, the good, the bad, the ugly, of what it's like to live, work, eat, sleep, play right here in Puget Sound, the Emerald City, Seattle, Washington. And in this video, we're going to talk about downtown Seattle and exactly where to live. So downtown Seattle is a lot of fun. Downtown Seattle, we got some skyscrapers, we got steel and glass. It's a real city. We got a skyline. Portland doesn't have a skyline. Portland doesn't have none of that stuff. I always got to make fun of Portland a little bit. They got way more bridges than us, though. That's so good for Portland. But we're going to talk about what it's like. We got townhomes, we got high steel, we got great views, we got some beautiful penthouses with panoramic views. Like truly some of the nicest buildings available on the West Coast are right here in Seattle. And we've built, over the last little while, we have built a few new buildings that are absolutely stunning with tremendous views. Really always fun to go up there and see those amenities and some of that other stuff, the views that they offer. Even some of our condos here are attached to hotels, and you can get full service from the hotel in these penthouses. So we're going to talk about the 5 best spots living in downtown Seattle and exactly what it's like. So we're going to start, I'm going to work my list top to bottom. We're going to start with Belltown. Now, Belltown is kind of a newer section of the city. Belltown is kind of carved out of that north downtown area, but south of South Lake Union. It's got some amazing buildings and some really great restaurants and bars. It has a very different feel than old Seattle, which is going to be your Pike Place Market, or excuse me, your Pioneer Square. That's the old heart of the city. That has a very different feel, rough and tumble, than the more posh and put together Belltown. So for like young professionals, people putting a night out on the town, Belltown is one of those destinations. If you live in the area, if you live in one of the apartments or one of the condos there, you really have everything that you need at your fingertips, at your doorstep, where you can get out easily to some of the, there's some speakeasies and some hidden bars and great restaurants there. So Belltown definitely is one of the cooler spots of downtown Seattle. Number 2 on that list is going to be South Lake Union. Now, when I was growing up, South Lake Union was not a place that you wanted to go, and now it is a destination. I remember heading down there, and Mercer was just a little 2-lane road. There used to be a guitar center down there, and it was really a lot more warehouses, and it was a little more rough and tumble. But now South Lake Union has come up with some beautiful condo buildings. It has some great apartment buildings. It really is a great place to live, where you're close to public transit. You've got great access to public transit, where you can get, if you just go up the hill into Capitol Hill, you can get on the South Lake Union streetcar, but really good transit from a place that's really in the heart of the city. So really easy to get around, good bus service. Also the monorail picks up there, so you can get around down there in South Lake Union in the Westlake and that sort of area there. The light rail is train station down there. I mean, it really is a very convenient place to live. A lot of the stuff down there is a little bit newer as well. It's even newer than Belltown, and so a lot of people like to live there because easy transportation, great restaurants. There's a lot of office buildings and stuff down there too, very much mixed use. A lot of people work down there, and there's some great restaurants that service those buildings and service the lunch hour. One of the biggest problems I've run into is if I'm down in South Lake Union, like at night or on a weekend, which is pretty rare for me, but that's happened. I've been out there. I'm looking for a place to eat, and a lot of those places are, unless it's a bar, it's closed. Because a lot of those places are just open to service the people that work there during business hours. Number 3 on the list is Pioneer Square. Now, Pioneer Square is a super cool neighborhood because it's basically the beginning of Seattle. It's the first buildings that were built as a downtown area. A lot of old architecture, a lot of brick buildings. Really a cool neighborhood. Some great venues for music, some great bars and restaurants down there, very close to the stadium district. So if you live there, and also the next best, probably transit location, because the transit comes right close to there as well. King Street Station, and there's just Pioneer Square really is a good mix, but it's very urban, and it feels like an older city, because we're looking at the 1800s and stuff for these brick buildings, but a very cool spot with great access to restaurants, bars, transportation, super walkable. All these places are very walkable. Obviously, as you work your way down to the water, all of a sudden there's all the hills in Seattle, but if you're traveling north and south, it's generally flat there. East to west is where you're going from the westward water all the way up the hill to Capitol Hill, headed east, and you're walking uphill there. So definitely, you'll learn your routing where you can keep it a little bit less uphill if you're not looking for that type of thing. But Pioneer Square also, just as a side note, is where they have the Underground Seattle tour. So a lot of folks don't know that Seattle was burned down in like the late 1800s, 1880s, I think, something like that. And then they rebuilt the city. The old streets are actually a whole floor below where they are now. Most of the Seattle streets in that area are actually an elevated street built up, and so we lost a story of a lot of those buildings as underground. So it's a very cool tour to take and kind of look at the history of Seattle and see what's going on down there. There's two versions. You can do just a regular basic tour, and then there's another one that is a tour with ghosts. And they start and stop. I'm not trying to plug them too much. This isn't like sponsored by them or anything, but at Doc Maynard's bar, that's where the tour starts and stops. So if you want to go down there and check that out, have a drink and check it out, super fun. It's actually really cool. Number 4 on the list is the Denny Triangle. Now, Denny Triangle is kind of, let's see, it's between downtown Belltown and South Lake Union, and it's a little bit further up the hill. So the condos and high-rises there have amazing views. Again, super walkable, easy to get around up there, fairly close to some decent transit, but not as keyed in as like South Lake Union, Capitol Hill, or Pioneer Square. But it is pretty good access to the freeway, so if you have a car to do that. Denny Triangle, I think, doesn't probably attract enough attention. The high rises that are there, if you're curious to learn more, reach out and we can show you what those look like. They definitely are beautiful buildings there. So really great neighborhood, a little bit closer to the Seattle Center in that area as well. But yeah, it's definitely one of the neighborhoods that people don't talk about enough. Not too many shops or restaurants over there, but there's enough. And you're close to Belltown pretty easily, close to a lot of other stuff, but definitely worth thinking about it probably doesn't get enough credit to be one of the cooler downtown neighborhoods. Number 5 on the list is going to be First Hill. Now, First Hill is just south of Capitol Hill. There's a lot of residential homes and some mansions over there. It really was Seattle's first, I think, suburban neighborhood. Locally, a lot of people refer to it as Pill Hill because that's where a lot of the hospitals are, and Swedish is up there and that sort of thing. So there are townhomes and some condo buildings, but that area really is known for more like, because we're getting closer to Leschi and Mount Baker and these areas with these fantastic Victorian, Foursquare, Craftsman and Tudor homes, fairly large homes in that area. It's a beautiful area. Once you get into the neighborhoods, if you're looking for that type of home, and super convenient, really easy. The benefit of these older homes are larger lots, garage parking, off-street parking, and beautiful craftsmanship. The homes that are there typically are really well maintained and cared for, and that if that's what you're looking for, you know that those older homes built in the 10s, 20s, 30s, 40s, that era of home, you are the steward of that home, so you're going to have to do a lot of maintenance. But those areas, they're pretty much well kept and in good working order. So First Hill is kind of a fun neighborhood. It is connected well. You're close proximity to Capitol Hill, so you do have good transit there as well. So whenever I look at neighborhoods and I talk to folks, I always just try to tease out, hey, what are you doing on the weekends? What clubs are you belonging to? Are you super into sailing, or are you into mountain biking and rock climbing? Like what are you doing after hours? Where are you headed after hours? What's your lifestyle look like? What do you have kids? What's that? Do we have to get to soccer practice? What are we doing? And then I always recommend that you come into town, you try to get your feet on the ground, you grab a sandwich, you grab a coffee, you grab a beer, get into the neighborhood, look up, put yourself together a Google map. We can do it together. You can reach out. We'll put some parks on there. We'll put some other things on there so that you have kind of an itinerary to see what it's like boots on the grounds when you come to visit. So hopefully that's super helpful for you. It gives you an idea of what kinds of high rises and what kind of buildings we see downtown, the availability of homes close in, your Craftsman Studers and Four Squares there in Pill Hill. One of the areas that I didn't talk about, I don't consider Queen Anne really a downtown area, but Queen Anne is one of those neighborhoods that's just outside of downtown that a lot of people are drawn to. Lower Queen Anne, Upper Queen Anne, beautiful areas. But reach out to us, give me a call, shoot me a text, put time on my calendar. We can brainstorm and put together some ideas for you, help you get pointed in the right direction. We're helping people make that move all the time, so we'd love to hear from you. People are reaching out. Go ahead and don't feel awkward. Just shoot me a text. If you haven't already, like, subscribe, tap that notification bell, and we'll see you in the next video. Talk to you.